All right, gents, welcome back to the FPL One Percenters Pod. Prepping for Game Week 10. Pleased to be joined by Hass, fresh and back from international break. Hass, how are you?
Thanks, and looking forward to another good chat.
Brilliant. Looking forward to it. Kazim, how are you, my man?
Good. I think I hit double weeks on Green Arrows, so it's looking good for me.
Happy days. To the fans of particularly Hammer on this podcast, do not be alarmed. He'll be back next week. And he's just
he doesn't have
on
corona. He's just doing
late break.
He's doing his own quarantine, FPL quarantine.
Yeah, fair enough. I think needed potentially. But this week he'll be back next week. How are we doing, guys? How was the game week?
You know what? For me, it was one of those disappointing game weeks with Salah out. I had the choice of keeping him on the bench or bringing in somebody. I went with the risk and I left him on the bench. Bruno would have been the guy I brought in. Got 11 points. But now I have Salah for this week, so hopefully it's all good.
Brilliant. Happy days. Just to give a bit of a quick intro into how we're going to do the pod today. So we're going to try and stick to a shorter timeline. We're going to try and cover a whole bunch of different topics as well. And we're sort of going to do a quick fire method where we discuss different topics for a couple of minutes and then move along quite quickly through them. So we've already begun with the first one, but essentially, our game week review for this week. Captain's hits and thoughts. You said, Hass, that you had Salah this week. Who did, and you kept him? It was a debate for me as well. I went with Bruno in the end, but took the -4. I also dropped Son. So middling sort of week for me because I'd had the 10 from Son, got the 11 from Bruno, doubled down and captain him. So 65-ish points for me. Kazim, how was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was bittersweet in the sense that I did drop Salah and I got the points from Bruno, but I tried to be a little bit too much of a tinker man and didn't captain him. I went for Grealish captain, so I think those extra 10, 11 points would have helped. But I'm happy that I have a way back into getting Salah because I knew bringing in Bruno, it was a good move, but I still wanted Salah long term. So I'm hoping to bring Salah back if the news clears out.
Nice. Hass, how did it work out for you just generally?
Yeah, you know what? Like on Saturday after Bruno got his 22 points because most people captained him, I was like looking at my score, it was quite bad. But then, luckily for me, I'd captained DCL.
Yeah.
And
nice.
He got 13 points, so that doubled, so 26 points. So it did make up a little bit of that difference.
Nice. It kind of shows the value of what Yusuf said in the interview a couple of weeks ago, but captaining midfielders over strikers. The fact that Bruno scored 1 and got 11, and DCL got 2 and got 39. I mean, he scored more, but he had to get 2 goals he had to get a brace to get that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, it does make sense, especially if you're going to get a clean sheet as well. And then the bonus, so it helps.
Yeah, I've never seen someone sort of force FPL points as much as Bruno did during that game. Half the reason I brought him in was because it would be more fun to watch the United game. But he genuinely forced it.
He probably went from minus points to 20 points in the span of 30 seconds.
Yeah,
so after that missed penalty
I did see I saw a screenshot of somebody who had taken a screenshot of Bruno straight after the missed pen, and I think he was.
They actually updated it in time.
Yeah. He was on -1.
Yeah, but sorry, I need to ask this: do you always get a minus point for giving away a pen these days, or has that gone now? Because like a foul that gives away a pen, is that still -2, or do we know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It is. I know it used to be 100%. I know it used to be. I don't know if it is still.
I'll have to double check. It's a good point.
That's strange. But Fulham Everton, goal fest as well. I held on to Mitrovic again because, Everton, leaky defense, let's do it. He came off the bench. And not only did he come off the bench, he demanded the captain's armband off something as well. So, you can't.
Didn't they get a penalty too? Or was that
they got a penalty?
after
You don't understand my celebration on the Sunday morning when they got a pen after he'd come on. I was like, yeah, of course the skipper's going to take it. But no, he didn't.
No, he didn't. Wow.
Yeah.
It was another terrible penalty too, right?
Shocking. But moving on to this sort of game week, couple of discussion points that we're going to look at. So, based on the current fixtures and form, which pair would you have? Like a well-discussed sort of pairing. Everyone had a double up on. A lot of people had a double up on Spurs. So, if you were to move away from Spurs, would you hold Son and go with Werner up front for Kane, or would you go Ziyech and Kane instead? And would you do it the other way around? So, I mean, guys, what do you think? Hass, I can come to you first, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So, I've got both. I got Son and I got Kane. And, looking at their next 5 fixtures, it's Chelsea. They've got Chelsea, Arsenal, then they got Palace, and then they go to Liverpool and Leicester. So if you look at that, that's not good. I think, that's the hardest run of the next 5 games. But the thing with these two is, as we saw last week against City, that, they both got points. Got so that's where I might think, like, I know they're still going to get points over the next 5 game weeks. But the question is, if I drop them, I do lose that team value on them because I've made some money. But other players going to get more points. And that's where you look at Ziyech or you look at Werner. I think Ziyech's definitely a good shout. Werner, I'm still not sold on. But then, I know we'll get into the other teams later, but then there's still Manchester United or Manchester City where I think, I could bring in some of their players and they're going to get more than Son or Kane. But then after that next 5 or 6 games, if you want to bring Son, Kane back, because then they got a little nice run, can you make that up on team value? Because now you lost, 3, 4, 500,000.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Kazim, it's your expert area.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have 3 of the players on this team, so I'm actually really considering dropping Kane. The main reason is because I guess the stat that I'm sort of looking at is like points per million. So pretty much what Hass said, can you get more points out of dropping Kane or Son, right? So although Kane has produced in his last 4 games, I don't think he got a double-digit haul, and that's something that I feel.
I don't think he's blanked since game week 1. Kane. Yeah.
He hasn't blanked, yeah, exactly. So he's
but
definitely
he hasn't got a big goal, like you're saying. He's gonna get a goal here and a goal there.
And for me, that's my real only enabler into getting back Salah, and I sort of like their schedule a lot better than Spurs. And the fact that I'm able to keep Son of the 2, I think it's just going to open up more doors for me that way. I'm still probably not completely sold on Werner either, but just given I'm a Chelsea fan, it makes me a bit easier to watch the games. He is wasteful quite a bit, but he does still create a lot of chances.
Yeah, and he does. I guess he gets into the positions is the other way to look at that as well. He's always at the end of these things. In the 6-yard box, blasting over the bar for now, but soon he'll be hitting the back of the net. Hopefully, at least he's getting those positions. Similarly, I was quite annoyed actually because I brought Ziyech in for Son. He should have squared it to Ziyech. I mean, he did try.
He tried.
So
but it didn't go too far. Yeah. That's why I feel like he's not. They say he plays best as on the wings, right, cutting in. But I don't think he is a striker because a striker would actually take that shot. Yeah. But I don't know why he wouldn't take that shot. That's like if Tammy was in that position, any other striker in that position would have shot it. But I think I don't know, he's trying to be a bit more unselfish.
Okay, good to get our thoughts. I mean, either of combination of these 4 would be a good shout. And moving away from Spurs is not the worst thing in the world, considering their fixtures, and great points you guys make. Moving on, hotly debated topic. Bruno Fernandes is A, an overrated penalty merchant, B, a must-have maestro, C, both A and B. Hass, I'm going to come to you because I shared a stat with you earlier. And Hass is a general Premier League fan with a tinge of anti-United bias. You won't mind me saying, no?
No, that's fair. I think, growing up in England in the 90s and early 2000s, I think if you didn't support United, you hated them. So I think that's where I am. But no, I think, Bruno, we've seen the number of penalties Man United get. And I'm not saying that they're not penalties, but when you look at across the, for the last, I think from the beginning of last season to now, I think United are way ahead on penalties won. I think I saw they were at, 28, something like that. And then the next team below that is at least 5 or 6 behind. I think Liverpool have got half the number of penalties as Man United. Yeah. So it's quite a big difference. But yeah, you've seen Bruno, right? Like I think the stat you shared with me is 35 games, 34 goal involvements, right? Like, he's gonna be thereabouts. And he's the sort of guy that I really want in my team. So last week, I missed out on bringing him in. But now the question is, do I bring him in or do I bring Bruno in? And because I've got Salah already. And then like Kazim said, if I get rid of Kane, then maybe I could bring him in as well. But do I want to do that? It's something I've got to think about.
Yeah. I mean, he's central to everything that United do. So you can see why. I mean, there's no one discussing any other United assets at this moment in time, but somehow he just manages to either drag them through or be involved in everything good that they do.
Yeah.
Kazim, you're feeling like is he a long-term hold for you? Or medium-term hold?
I think so. I mean, he was always in my long-term plans. I think, what was it, game week 1, they didn't actually play. So I didn't have him in my original team, but I always had the money in the bank to bring him in. And then I guess United had a bit of a dip, so I dropped him. But now he's back in my team. So I definitely think he is a must-have, given the schedule seems pretty favorable. And from the United assets, he's probably the only. I mean, Rashford is a hit or miss sometimes, and he does give an extra 2 million. But he definitely, he's on penalties. He's probably the most creative player on the team. So I think he checks off all the boxes from like a fantasy point of view as well.
Yeah, I think he generally ticks the boxes. And even if United sort of have an off day, if anyone's going to create something, it's probably going to come from him. For me, he's similar long to medium term hold. Let's see how he gets on. Basically, he hasn't blanked as well. Another stat for you guys: he hasn't blanked 2 weeks in a row, so that's good, I guess. Like another Salah, he just refuses to get 0 FPL points.
Yeah, he actually gave up. He gave up the pen to Rashford in the Champions League.
Yeah, I saw that, but he didn't look happy about giving up the pen. Like he chucked him the ball, and then Rashford went to high five him, and he was. So I don't know if that was like Ole told him to boost Rash's confidence, but he was on a hat trick as well. So strange.
Yeah,
maybe he's just a really nice guy.
There was a quote from him afterwards saying that I told Rashford that I'd give him the next penalty. So maybe that's why. But
nice.
Yeah, but now at least for Fantasy Premier League, at least the next penalty he's Bruno's on. So
fair enough. Good shot, great shot. Because there might be people concerned. I was like, okay, is this a change in system? So great.
Do you see him as your next captain for us, or are you happy with Maguire?
You know what? I don't know.
Because he definitely has good leadership.
You can't sign someone and then put them straight. Yeah, he's better leader than Maguire, but I feel like you can't just sign players and then give them the armband straight away and keep chopping and changing as well. That shows its own lack of sort of planning.
Unless you're Lampard, right? Giving Thiago Silva captainship without a word of English.
It's just replacement for John Terry. Probably no one even knows that Terry's gone yet. With the way he's performing, to be fair. But I don't know. He seems like the kind of guy that's gonna have a go at people at halftime. That's the kind of thing you want to see, is that United sort of attitude. Moving on, I could talk about United for a while, but we will move off that. To Liverpool, wonderful. Can Diogo Jota fill the Salah-shaped hole in your team and heart? He looked really good. Kazim, what are your thoughts on Jota?
I don't think he is. Obviously, he's not a replacement for Salah. Just given that, I don't think his place is still guaranteed. Given that once Salah comes back, I think you'll probably see him play more up front as a striker. If he does play in they play Atalanta today, I think that will be a real test on if he is going to start the next game. If he starts this game, I think there's a high likelihood he may not play the next game. So I don't think he'll fill that. But in that price range, he's, I think, the best option. I faced the issue with that price range with Foden. I brought him in for 4 games. He's got me maybe 1 point. So
I get you. He's very much similar to that Foden sort of price bracket, but at the same time, he's more of a forward than Foden is. So that's the upside to him as well. Hass, what do you think about Jota? Has he convinced you?
Yeah, so I think Jota, the way he's been playing in the last few games, amazing, right? Like 7 goals, 8 starts, something like that. Now the question is, like Kazim said, is he going to get starts? And then the last game, I think before the international break, they had all 4 of them starting. Right, they had
4-2-3-1, and I think
So if they continue to do that with putting Mo Salah up front and then having Jota, Mane, with Firmino up front, if they continue to have those 4 playing at the same time, then Jota at 6.6 is going to be getting a lot of points, especially at that price range. But that's the key thing to look at: is he going to get those starts? Because the next run, but Liverpool's run over the next 10 games is amazing. I want to triple up, I just can't afford it.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think Klopp's a bit different from Pep in the sense that rotation risk isn't as much of a risk, right? So with Foden, right, you have that risk guaranteed, right? With Jota, you're probably not as much of a risk. Like if he's in form, I feel like Klopp will continue to play him. It's just a matter of there may be a point where he may switch it up a little bit. But
I heard this somewhere else as well, is that because they're defensively kind of weak, he's going to have to try and outscore teams, which they used to do before they got Van Dijk. Hammer mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. But they could then look to play all four of them a lot more often. Keita got injured as well, I think, this week. So it's not like he has too many options. So yeah, triple up, double up would be a shout for the medium to long term. I think it's a good shout. But if you are looking to if you've brought Salah out of your team, would you say, jump on Jota at least for now? Is that?
I think if you've taken Salah out and you want to bring somebody in, I think you got to see if he's going to start. Like if he's going to get games, yeah, for sure, bring him in. But like I said, it's not guaranteed at the moment, so it would be a Foden style risk.
Yeah. I feel like everyone's getting taken slightly with the hype of not holding Mo Salah, but I feel like he can make you regret that so quickly.
Yeah.
Kazim only knows from the first 8 game weeks, but I feel like he's going to come back with a vengeance, especially because like the circumstances he went into, like sort of he got this whole COVID thing, Egypt, his brother's wedding, and I feel like he's going to come back and really prove a point.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Fingers crossed.
I'll captain him this week then.
Unfortunately, Lamptey's out, so he's not going to leave as much space in behind for them. But should be good though. They play the same way no matter who they're playing, Brighton, which is good, I guess, for Salah owners. But moving on from that, let's talk about Leicester. Are you tempted by Jamie Vardy or any of the Leicester assets? I'll drop me a penalty stat earlier. Leicester have got 8 penalties this season. So if Jamie Vardy looks like an attractive asset, how much of that is because he's scored 8 penalties? They play Fulham, Sheffield, and Brighton in the next 3. So could it be something to look at, guys? Any of you can?
Yeah. So this is where I've been looking at because, like I've got Kane, and I think he's 10.8. Vardy's 10.2. So it's a bit, I'm thinking, is it worth just doing a straight swap, bringing in Vardy for the next 4 games? Because over the next 4 games, I think he can definitely outscore Kane. And the fact that, he's on pens and Leicester have been getting pens, then it could be a good option.
Yeah. Makes sense. At that point, sorry, just to pick up on that, do you ever worry that, fine, I'll do that and he might outscore him, but does the back of your mind, is it also thinking that, but everyone has Kane?
And that's one thing that I look at. We talked about it with Yusuf, that the FPL champion on the pod, where do you look at percentage ownership? And I do. That's something I look at. Like if you've got,
I love it. I sort by transfers in whenever I'm looking, which is
because it is a risk, right? Like if you've got Son is at 50-60%. Now if Son goes off, then you're in trouble. But I think you can't have all of the most owned players. So you gotta weigh your team up.
Yeah, true. Kazim, what are your thoughts on Vardy? Is there anyone else we should look at, or?
Yeah, I think this is sort of the question that comes into play, right? If you are dropping one of the Spurs assets, do you go for a sort of a like for like with Vardy in terms of value, or do you upgrade your mid and attack the Liverpool players or what it may be? So yeah, I mean these fixtures are really good, but I'm still unconvinced where like Leicester seems somewhat hot and cold. I mean, they beat City, and then everyone was saying, like they're gonna pick it up this year. They were leading the league, and then they just turned somewhat flat against Liverpool. Like Liverpool, I felt was always in control of that game.
Yeah.
I know these fixtures are really good, but like I can't have every player, and I'm really looking elsewhere. Just given that after these 3, I would look at offloading him anyway. So I think
I have a similar dilemma. I have a similar dilemma as well because I've got enough money in the bank at the moment to do Mitrovic for Vardy, right? But I have enough money in the bank to do James for Salah. I trust Salah more than I do Vardy over the long term. Because you don't want to double up on Kane and you could double up on Kane and Vardy. It'd be a great attacking lineup, but then you have to sacrifice in midfield.
Yeah, for sure.
Kazim is playing on my subconscious with all those expensive strikers.
Yeah, I'm making a rain, but I'm gonna have to pull back on that a little bit.
Yeah, but nonetheless, okay. So Leicester, wait and watch. Fulham are a leaky defense. Is not a bad decision to go for them, I guess, is what we can summarize. But I feel like they haven't done enough to show me they're like an attacking threat, but never bet against Vardy because if he goes on a run, he goes on a run.
Yeah.
Anything to add on Vardy?
No, I'm just looking at those 3 greens, and it's tempting me.
Yeah, it's like,
I know. I know it does look quite exciting, and I never know, I might surprise you guys this week.
And I feel like these are Jamie Vardy like type.
Yeah,
games
apparently, I heard this on another pod, but apparently he's a real like bully for the small teams, and he scores a lot of his goals. He goes wild, and Fulham really poor guys, as in they like to play football or try and play football. They don't sit back deep like a Sheffield would. But out of the two, Sheffield will sit deep. Brighton and Fulham will really go at it to their peril potentially against Vardy. But I don't know, he's gone away from the blonde hair, so maybe that's a sign that he's ready to go on a run, or I don't know. I couldn't even spot him on the pitch. But moving on, I don't know what's coming next actually. Oh yeah, great. Let's talk about City. Can we ignore Man City assets with this run? This is green, just to give you context. From next week, game week 10, all the way to game week 22, I pulled because it was all green all the way to then, which is beginning of February, basically. And look at those games. Burnley, Fulham. Before you said, I'll say United, easy game. West Brom, Southampton, Newcastle. Sort of really great fixtures, but Hass.
So, looking at this, I've looked at this, and we mentioned it at the top of the pod. Like, I really want to bring in City, but right now they're underperforming. So they're not scoring that many goals. They're not like City of last season. I think they will turn it around at some point. Now the question is, do I want to jump on them now and take advantage of that, or do I wait until they start rolling and then bring them in? But looking at this fixture list and looking at their players, KDB is guaranteed, right? So you want to guaranteed start, and Sterling. So if you can afford to double up on those in midfield, then that's great. But the other option is looking at this fixture list, and even that how they're sort of tightening up their defense. You can easily double up on their defense. I've seen a lot of people bringing in Diaz and Cancelo because they look they look properly locked in. Not as much rotation with those two. So again, that's, and they're not too expensive. I think they're 5.5, 5.4, something like that. So it's another option.
Nice. No, very cool. I think a lot of people are looking at Cancelo as a route in. Kazim, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this was the game week I was even targeting, like the game week 10 to really get in their assets. But just given they're still like hot and cold in terms of like, I think, how many goals have they even scored this year? I think it was like 10, just as many.
Yeah, 10, 15. As like they haven't scored this few goals since 2006 in the start of the season. I think that was before the money, or just about when the money sort of came in, which is worrying for Pep.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just. I mean, it's too big of a risk just given their price values to like make a preemptive move on them. So, I mean, I still have my wild card, so I feel like I'm gonna still wait it out. If they like absolutely destroy Burnley, that could be the week that I activate my wild card for game week 11 and target that Fulham fixture. But I think I'm sort of a wait and see type approach right now, just to see when they do pick it up. Then I'll sort of reshuffle my team around. But yeah, once again, they're just not scoring enough goals to like make that reactive move right away. And Burnley, I feel like, is always that tough fixture. They've got 2 clean sheets in a row, so this could be not the fixture just yet for City.
Yeah, it's strange because Burnley just generally have held clean sheets the last couple of games, and however in the last couple of seasons, City have scored 4 against Burnley, but this is old City. So
yeah,
it's a weird one. I get what you're saying about being proactive on City though, because we were proactive by bringing in Foden when we thought he's going to have a great season, and then to be proactive again, you're like, let's wait and see how they turn out. Has any final thoughts on City?
No, that's it. The big decision I've got to make is I currently have Foden in my team as well, and I think he's been benched like 4 games in a row. And now, I'm thinking, is this the right time to bring it out? Because he just today in the Champions League they're playing and he scored. So, I want to see if I bring him out now because I can upgrade him to Bruno or KDB. And then, if he goes off, right? So that's the problem.
Yeah, I know. You and Yusuf are both sending in positive vibes. Okay, so moving on from City. We'll quickly talk about Everton before we sort of wrap up. I mean, we've covered Everton a lot. Essentially, their fixtures kind of turn a little bit. DCL hasn't blanked again since that Southampton fixture in game week 6. Do you reckon he's undroppable from your front lines?
I would say that, you notice that when Richarlison's back And, when Hammers playing and DCL, Everton are going to score a lot of goals. They're probably going to concede a lot of goals as well. So even when you get to the tough fixtures, you wouldn't bet against him scoring at least 1 or 2, right? And then maybe they concede 2 or 3. But I would, for now, at his price point, I would keep him.
Yeah. Because would you drop other? Sorry, just to pick you up on that. Would you drop other if you're holding Hammers? Would you sort of go away from a double up on Everton?
I think so. I think the next 2 fixtures look nice, and then after that, that's where you got to make a decision. I probably won't want to double up past that, but let's see.
Nice. Makes sense. Kazim, similar thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, similar thoughts. He's still relatively. What did he start the game at? 7 million, I think, 7.5. Yeah, so he's almost $1 million up from where he started at. So in terms of points per million, he's the best value you're going to get, other than maybe some of the bigger players. So I think he's definitely other than Bamford. But there's a lot of options in that price range. So even when maybe there's a time to sort of drop him, you can sort of free up a bit of money if you go Shea Adams, Bamford, Callum Wilson, something like that. So as of right now, best, he's a nailed on spot, and I think most teams. Until I see something otherwise, I just hold and keep.
Like but with Hammers, you would be sort of happy to move on after these couple of games if you're holding Hammers or something like that.
Yeah. Like with Hammers, as you can see, right, he gets the assist of the assist where everyone says. Yeah. And I think with Richarlison back as well, that's even more likely. So that's sort of where that stands.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you, sorry, it's kind of side question, but Luka Dean or Robertson, who would you have in on your teams?
I would say if you could afford it, go with Robbo. I know you mentioned earlier about Liverpool look shaky defensively, but
you got 12 points this week, though.
Yeah, last week against Leicester, defensively they look solid because I think that they're more focused. And
Milner's more defensively sound as well than Trent, you would argue.
Yeah, and especially looking at that run, I think if you could afford the extra $1 million to get Robbo in, it's worth it.
Kazim, Robbo?
Yeah, definitely Robertson. I mean, especially with Trent out, a lot more of the attack's going to go on that wing. So if you can afford it, go for it. If not, I don't think Digne is a bad option either.
Okay, nice. Guys, captaincy, what are we saying? I can't look past Salah if I would have him in my team versus Brighton, and if he's starting, or Bruno versus Southampton.
Yeah, and the third option that we talked about earlier is Leicester. If you have Vardy, it might be a good option to captain him.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, captaining on a Monday is always nice because you have the hope.
That's it. Yeah, never captain on the first game, right?
Never.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends who I bring in right now. So I think if I do bring in Salah, it's going to be Salah. If I get some hint that he may not start, then I may hold off a week and go towards Bruno. I think those are probably the best 2 fixtures out of the bunch. And if you're looking for a differential, maybe go for Calvert-Lewin. I don't know if he'll be high captainship on, but he seems like good option as well.
It's only go Bamford if you'd like. I've just seen that I said, never captain the early kickoff just after I said Salah captain this week. So I don't know, maybe I'll break.
I mean, Friday you could argue is that first.
You could argue that Friday is on, yeah.
So it depends how you look at it,
Yeah. Fair enough. No, that's very true.
Breaking news: Salah starting today against Atalanta.
Is he? I would have loved if he played 30 minutes. That would have been great. Come on for 30 minutes at the end, then he's definitely starting on the.
Right.
That's like a mind twist.
Let's see if he goes off at 60 minutes. That'll be nice. Guys, any final thoughts for the game week Friday deadline? Like Kazim pointed out, anything else?
Final thoughts, just as always, recommend just wait till after the Champions League and Europa League games before you make your transfers because you don't want to bring in somebody who gets injured.
Nice. Brian, Kazim?
Yeah, same really. Wait until the Friday morning to make your transfers, and early kickoff on Friday, so don't leave it till Friday night.
Don't slack. Yeah, I did my Salah transfer at 1 a.m. last week, so on Friday, so that wouldn't work. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Good luck with your game weeks to you guys. Good luck to everyone watching. It's been a pleasure, and we will see you next week.
All the best, guys.
All right.